Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to interpret graphs, tables, and word problems. You're going to have a test on next week. So whatever day I see you next week, that'll be Wednesday. So Wednesday next week is the next time I'll see you because we have Monday off. So we're going to have a exam that day, Unit 3. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're already in Unit 3. We're going pretty fast, so I probably will backtrack a little bit and make sure we didn't have anybody fall off. All right. So this is a warm-up battle. I'm not sure if y'all can really see it very well. If you're on Zoom, you should be able to see it. If you're on Zoom, you should be able to see it pretty well. The graph of a linear function is shown on the grid. Which equation is best represented by this graph? Even if you can barely see the points, I'm gonna say out loud the multiple choice answer. So A says y plus 7 equals -3 times x minus 4. Y plus 1 equals -3 times x plus 2. Y minus 4 equals 3 times x plus 7. Y minus 2 equals 3 times x minus 1. Which ones can you automatically cross out without doing any work, and why? The positive what?
Never mind.
Okay, so I think I heard you correctly. So the ones with +3, you can automatically cross out because this slope of this line is negative. So the slope of this line is negative. So on C and D, both the slopes are positive, so both of those would cancel out automatically. This is in the form of y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So then it's between A and B. A says y plus 7 equals -3 times x minus 4. Which point is it saying this line is going through? And remember, for point slope form, the x and the y, the sign is opposite. So even though it says minus x1, that's positive x. Even if it says minus y1, that would be a positive y. So which x and y value is A giving us? Okay, I think I hear somebody whispering it. So the x would be +4 and the y would be -7. So this formula is saying it's going through the point 4, -7. So I'm gonna look on my graph and see if it goes through that point. 4, -7, it does. So that tells me this is probably the right answer, but I'm gonna keep looking. B says y plus 1 equals -3 times x plus 2. What point is this saying it goes through?
-1, positive, -1, -2.
Okay, so yes, but let's flip it. So the x comes first. So -2, -1. Cool. So if I look over here, -2, -1 is right here. That is not on the line. So therefore, A would be my answer. So this was actually an EOC question on the EOC test. If you feel like you don't understand point slope, then I would make sure you're taking good notes on for this. So let's get started. So you can draw this table in your notes if you want to, or you can just not, I don't know, okay? But I would probably have this. I think I told y'all Unit 3 will be an open note test, so this might be good information to put in your journal. You don't have to draw it as a table, but you could just have slope, y-intercept at the top, and then this on the left-hand side of your journal to write it in. So we're going to be looking at some word problems today. We're going to look at graphs some more today, and we're going to look at tables. But in a word problem, there's some key words that tell us when it's talking about slope and when it's talking about y-intercept. And if you had me last year, then you know you should kind of recognize when I start saying that. So when we're looking at a word problem, those keywords for slope are per and each. For example, I was driving down the highway and I was going 70 miles per hour. In that situation, 70 would represent my slope. Or I went to the mall and I bought a shirt. I bought shirts for $5 each. 5 would represent the slope. So that per and that each are the key words when we're talking about word problems. The y-intercept in a word problem is that one-time fee, that thing I only pay one time, or my initial amount. How much did I start with? Or a deposit, or let's see. So it's that thing that I'm only going to pay once, that thing that only happens once. For example, I went to the State Fair of Texas and it cost me $25 to get in. And then 50 cents per ticket. Well, the $25 to get in would represent my y-intercept. That's how much, the initial amount. That's how much I started with, the thing I only pay one time. So hopefully that sounds a little familiar, okay? But these are the key things for a word problem. All right. For my formula, when it comes to slope and y-intercept, to find my slope, there's many things we can do. For a table, we can do rise over run, which indicates my change in y over my change in x, which also is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is how I find the slope of a table or a graph. My vertical change over my horizontal change. My change in y over my change in x. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, and then my y-intercept. How do I find that? Well, and all of these, we just plugged in a point usually. But a big thing to understand is on your y-intercept, you know that the x value is going to be 0, and wherever x is 0, that y value represents your y-intercept. All right, then y equals mx plus b is the slope-intercept formula. So this should be in your notes already, but it's good to just continue to rewrite it. It helps you with your memory. Y equals mx plus b. In this equation, which letter represents the slope?
M.
M. So that means B represents our y-intercept. So this equation tells us our slope and y-intercept already. Our goal really is to put both of these equations in slope-intercept form as well. So that's really the big goal, so that you have your slope and y-intercept. So this second one, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is point slope formula. Point slope formula gives us our slope, but it also gives us a point, the x1 and y1. But usually I'm not really looking for the point. I'm usually looking for the y-intercept. So the slope is m. But to find our y-intercept, we would need to simplify this equation. And I know last class, some of y'all had trouble simplifying this type of equation. So let's do an example over here. So let's say I had y minus 7 equals 1/2 times x plus 4. Y minus 7 equals 1/2 times x plus 4. What I want y'all to be able to do is look at this quickly and tell me, oh, okay, the slope is 1/2, and the point that it's giving me is -4, +7. But if I'm asking for the y-intercept, I need to dig a little deeper. So I want to simplify this, and hopefully I can do this without making it look too messy. First thing, if there's a chance to distribute, I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to distribute this 1/2. That'll give me y minus 7 equals 1/2 x plus 2. So my goal is to make this look like y equals mx plus b, to solve for the y variable. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides to get rid of that minus 7, and that will give me y equals 1/2 x plus 9. So my y-intercept is 9. So this has a slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of 9. Your goal is to be able to do this and understand how you can get from here to here. That's the big goal. If you can accomplish this, then these problems won't ever really be difficult for you. Stop me if you have a question, please. And then the last equation is in standard form. AX plus BY equals C. We learned the shortcuts to find slope is -a/b. And to find the y-intercept is c/b. If you understand these shortcuts, please use them. But if you don't understand the shortcuts, then I would always change my standard form into slope-intercept form, which I would do anyway. It will definitely benefit you. So let's say I have 2x minus 3y equals 9. 2x minus 3y equals 9. Some of you can look at this, and at this point, you may be saying, okay, if the slope is -a/b, a is 2 and b is -3, -2 over -3 would be +2/3, and that would be the slope of this line. And then some of you are like, okay, if the y-intercept is c/b, c is 9, b is -3, 9 over -3 would be -3. But others of you, like myself at times, I need to just go ahead and solve this for y. So I would subtract 2x from both sides, and I believe Noah's the one who led us last class through this. So subtracting 2x from both sides, that would give us -3y equals 9 minus 2x. And then divide both sides by -3. I'm gonna have to write it over here. That would give us y equals 9 divided by -3 is -3. -2 over -3 is +2/3 x. So it gives us a y-intercept of -3 and a slope of 2/3. So this at this point, this is what I need you to feel confident at. And if you don't, I can give you some extra practice on it. But we're going to have plenty of practice for today. Okay. So let's keep moving. I think all we have are a whole bunch of example problems. I'm not sure how many slides. I don't think it's that many. So I would, at least for your note purposes, write down the question. I wouldn't write down the answer choices, but I would at least write down the question. Which equation in standard form has a graph that passes through the point -4, 2, and has a slope of 9/2? which equation in standard form has a graph that passes through the point -4, 2, and has a slope of 9/2. Okay, I'm gonna ask a question, and if you're gonna speak in person, make sure you use your bold voice so I can hear you. And then if virtually, I would also love your participation. So the big thing here says it has a slope of 9/2. Well, if you notice, A, B, C, and D, all of them say 9x minus 2y, 9x minus 2y, 9x minus 2y, 9x minus 2y. This tells me all of these have a slope of 9/2. Every single one of these have a slope of 9/2. The question is, does it go through the point -4, 2? So I want everyone to think real quick. How could I figure out if these graphs go through this point right here? What could I do with this x and this y to figure out if it goes through this equation? The only thing that is different in A, B, C, and D is this C value. That's the only thing that's different. All of them say 9x minus 2y, but they're all different for this C value. Could I do something with this x and y in this equation to figure out the C value?
Yeah.
What could I do?
I don't know. Oh, plug them in where the X and Y are.
Oh, perfect. I can just plug them in. If -4 is an x, here's an x right here. Why don't I just plug it in? If 2 is a y, I'm going to plug it in for y. So 9 times -4 minus 2 times 2, I need to see what that equals. And that will give me my C value. So 9 times -4 is -36. Minus 2 times 2, which is 4. That'll give me -40. So I'm looking for an equation that has a C value of -40. So my answer here would be C. All right, ask me questions, ask me questions. This is kind of difficult. Okay. Big thing I want you to notice. It says in the standard form, the slope is 9/2. This is positive 9/2. Notice there was a minus sign in between here. A good way to recognize the slope in standard form, it's also opposite. So if there's a minus sign in between the A and the B, then you know your slope is positive 9/2. If there was a plus sign in between here, it would be negative 9/2. So you can kind of think of it as opposite. Let's do another example. Let's say I had the equation, or not equation, let's say I had a graph, and I'm looking for the equation of that graph in standard form that has a slope of -2/3 and goes through the point 1, 7. So I'm looking for an equation in standard form that has a slope of -2/3 and a point at 1, 7. So based on what I just told you over here, I know my A is going to be 2 and my B is going to be 3. Is there going to be a plus sign or a minus sign in between these two?
Plus sign.
Yep, plus sign. And what I'm looking for is my C value. I don't know my C value. So y'all go ahead and plug this point in, this X and this Y point in to find your C value. So if you know this 1 is X and this 7 is Y, plug that into the X and Y and find C. Then when we plug it in, we should get 23 equals C, meaning the equation would be 2X plus 3Y equals 23. So this was just a random numbers and random problem I just made up. All right, are there no questions? This is hard stuff. This is like 12 times harder than 8th grade math. In my opinion. All right, let's look at another example then. Thank you, Alexa. Okay, so you're gonna read this, and what I want you to think about, what is the slope and what is the y-intercept as you're reading this. Researchers in Antarctica discovered a warm sea current under a glacier that is causing the glacier to melt. The ice shelf of the glacier had a thickness of approximately 450 meters. When it was first discovered, that's important. The thickness of the ice shelf is decreasing, that's an important word, at an average rate of 0.06 meters per, that's important, per day. Write a function that can be used to find the thickness of the ice shelf in meters x days since the discovery. So in your head, think, based on this word, all these words and the key words in this, I want you to think in your head, what is the slope? What is the y-intercept? I want you to think. Can I get a virtual, Jaden or Rodolfo? Can you tell me?
Is it 0.06?
Is what, 0.06?
The slope.
Perfect. And is it negative or positive 0.06?
Negative.
Negative, because it says decreasing. So I know my slope is negative 0.06. And I know it's the slope because it says per day. This is the rate. And we know that slope is the same thing as rate of change. So we know that this is decreasing at a rate of 0.06. That means our y-intercept is 450 meters because this is how much I started with. This is my initial amount. So then my equation would be y equals negative 0.06x plus 450. And here's my equation. Questions about that one? Huh?
Wouldn't it be subtracting from 450 because it's taking away?
So if it said minus, so are you saying that you think there should be a minus sign here?
Yeah.
So if there was a minus sign right here, that would mean that it started off as a negative 450 meters. And that would be impossible, right? You have a negative thickness. So the negative part would be the rate because it's taking away, this is telling you it's taking away 0.06 meters. You can kind of also write it this way, 450 minus 0.06x, which is the same thing, But now you can, it looks more like, oh, I started with 450 and I'm taking away 0.6 each day. So these are the same equations now. I just switched the two numbers. Good question. All right, let's look at another word problem. This one's a little bit more difficult. An organization has a monthly budget of X dollars. Okay, so their monthly budget is represented by X. Every month, $2,070 is spent of salaries. So every month, $2,070 is spent, that's important, of salaries. 1/4 of the remaining budget is spent, let's just say, on monthly activities. Which function can be used to find the amount in dollars spent on monthly activities? So reread that in your head. People in the classroom, I want y'all to discuss this one. What do y'all think the answer is amongst yourselves? I don't have to hear it. An organization has a monthly budget of X dollars. Every month, 2,070 is spent of salaries. Well, you started with X number of dollars. 2,070 of it is spent in salaries. 1/4 of the remaining budget is spent on monthly activities. Which function can be used to find the amount in dollars spent on monthly activities? All right, Sophia, now Alexa, talk among yourself. What do you think the answer is? Jaden, Rodolfo, put it in chat me. Tell me what you think it is. Tell me what you think, which one. Okay, so I'm repeating this just for the recording. Sorry, I paused it. So we started with X amount of dollars and we spent 2,070 of that budget. So X minus 2,070. And then it says 1/4 of the remaining budget will go to monthly activities. So X minus 2,070, the remaining amount is divided by 4. So 1/4 of it will go to monthly activities. So that's why D is our answer. All right. Example 4. Now you're answering this for me, but I'll let you think first. The function y equals 3.75 plus 1.5 times x minus 1 can be used to determine the cost in dollars for a taxi ride of X miles. What is the rate of change of the cost in dollars with respect to the number of miles? So this is a lot of words just asking for a rate of change. And remember, rate of change is slope. So it is asking for the slope of this equation. So talk amongst yourself in the classroom. Virtual, Jaden, Rodolfo, come on, chat me. Give me what you think the answer is.
The code is 901-780-7020. 056992. Yeah, we're trying to find some.
So you're looking for the slope. You're looking for the slope. So we got to find slope. Yes, technically you don't need to find it. I mean, you need to find it, but literally you can look at it and tell the answer. So don't overthink this. You're looking for the slope. So don't overthink this. Think about, in every equation, what is slope? What is the slope? Which variable is it always multiplied to? So when you're thinking about that, just look at this equation and think, which number would be multiplied to that variable? Anyone want to go for it?
Sure. So is it 1.5x?
Yeah, the answer is 1.5. And I know that because 1.5 would be multiplied to x, telling me that's my slope. And if I need to, I can go ahead and just simplify this, right? To c. 3.75 plus 1.5x minus 1.5. Combine my like terms, minus 1.5 and 3.75. What would that be? What? 2.25 plus 1.5x. There's my slope. Here's my m. The coefficient of x is always my slope. So 1.5 would be the answer. Okay, so let's not overthink it. All right, this is our last example, and then you're gonna do your work for the day. Brittany wants to buy a big order of t-shirts from the company, So Fresh and So Clean. At the shop, a bulk order of shirts requires a deposit of $25. That's important. Deposit of $25. And $5.50 per t-shirt. Write an equation that represents the relationship between the cost per t-shirt and the total cost. So I want to write an equation for this. So first things first is I always need to identify my slope and y-intercept. Okay, this time I want either Sophia or Noah to answer. So I'm looking to write my equation. You got this. You got this. Come on, Sophia or Noah.
You know the answer. Is it y equals 5.50x plus 25?
Perfect. Perfect, right? 5.50 is how much it costs per t-shirt. X here would represent your per t-shirt. And Y is the amount you spend in total. And $25 is your deposit. This is how much I pay only one time. And $5.50 is the cost per shirt. Awesome. So if you still do not understand, so what we did is we looked at 5 different word problems and understanding how to look at the word problem and get your slope and y-intercept. If you still don't understand, I can definitely give you more practice. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.